Somewhere beneath the ocean, a living giant is moving silently, and we still don't fully understand it. When people imagine the ocean, they often think of danger, mystery, and powerful predators moving silently through the deep. Sharks usually come to mind as fierce hunters, built for speed, teeth, and survival. But hidden within this same ocean world exists a creature that completely breaks that expectation. A creature so massive that it can reach lengths of a school bus, yet so calm that it survives without ever hunting large prey. The whale shark. It is the largest fish in the entire world, and that fact alone is enough to make it almost unbelievable. Just imagine something that can grow up to 12 meters or more in length, moving slowly through the ocean like a living shadow. When you first hear shark, you expect aggression. You expect danger. But the whale shark completely changes that image. Because despite its size, it does not behave like a predator in the way most people imagine sharks to be. Instead, it survives in a completely different way. The whale shark is a filter feeder. That means it does not chase down large animals or attack prey. It moves through the ocean with its enormous mouth open, filtering huge amounts of water to collect some of the smallest living organisms in the sea. Plankton, tiny fish eggs, microscopic creatures. These become its food. In a way, the whale shark depends on things so small that most humans would never even notice them, and that creates a powerful contrast. A creature large enough to dominate its environment, yet gentle enough to depend on the smallest forms of life. As it swims, water flows into its massive mouth and passes through specialized filtering structures inside its gills. The ocean is not hunted, it is gently filtered, like nature itself is being sifted for nourishment. There is no violent chase, no dramatic attack, just slow, steady movement through vast open waters. And this is what makes the whale shark so fascinating. Because in a world where size often means strength and aggression, the whale shark shows something different. It shows that survival does not always require violence. Sometimes the largest creatures in existence live in the quietest and most peaceful ways. Even its behavior reflects this calm nature. Whale sharks are often seen gliding near the surface or slowly moving through warm tropical waters. Divers who encounter them describe the experience as surreal, like being next to a living mountain moving through the sea. Despite their enormous presence, they rarely show any aggressive behavior toward humans. In fact, they are known for being gentle and non-threatening, even when swimmers are nearby. And that makes them even more remarkable. Because in the deep ocean, where survival is often harsh and competitive, the whale shark exists as a reminder that not all giants are dangerous. It represents a different kind of power. Not the power of aggression, but the power of calm existence on a massive scale. A creature so large that it could inspire fear, yet so peaceful that it inspires curiosity instead. And maybe that is why the whale shark continues to capture human imagination. It challenges the idea that strength must always be loud or violent. Sometimes the greatest strength is simply the ability to exist peacefully in a world full of competition. A silent giant moving through the ocean, feeding gently, surviving calmly, and reminding us that the sea still holds wonders far beyond human expectation. In the deep ocean, most people assume that anything large and powerful must also be dangerous. That is how nature often feels on the surface. Survival is linked with strength, and strength is often linked with aggression. But the whale shark completely breaks this expectation in one of the most surprising ways. Because despite being the largest fish in the ocean, it is not a hunter of humans, not a threat to divers, and not a creature that relies on fear or violence to survive. It is, in reality, one of the most peaceful giants ever discovered beneath the waves. When people first see a whale shark in the water, the instinct is usually fear. The size alone can be overwhelming. A creature stretching longer than many buses, moving slowly through the ocean like a massive shadow, can easily trigger the feeling that something dangerous is approaching. But as that moment continues, something unusual happens. Instead of aggression, there is calmness. Instead of attack, there is indifference. The whale shark simply moves on, as if humans are not even worth noticing. And that is what makes it so extraordinary. Unlike other shark species that are built for hunting, chasing, and survival through predation, the whale shark lives in a completely different way. It does not pursue large animals. It does not stalk prey. It does not attack. Its entire existence is centered around gentle feeding on the smallest organisms in the ocean, meaning its behavior is naturally non-threatening. This is why divers often describe encounters with whale sharks as peaceful rather than frightening. People can swim near them, observe them closely, and even move alongside them without triggering any aggressive response. In many recorded encounters, whale sharks continue their slow movement without reacting strongly to human presence at all. It is as if they exist in a different rhythm of life, one that is not based on conflict, but on coexistence. And that challenges something deeply rooted in human thinking. We are used to associating size with danger. In both nature and human society, bigger often feels more powerful, and more powerful often feels more threatening. But the whale shark breaks that pattern completely. It shows that immense size does not automatically mean violence. It proves that survival can exist without dominance and power can exist without destruction. Even in the ecosystem of the ocean, where survival is often harsh and competitive, the whale shark occupies a unique space. It does not compete through aggression. It does not establish dominance through fear. Instead, it moves through the sea with quiet confidence, relying on abundance in the environment rather than conflict with other creatures. This peaceful nature also plays an important role in how humans perceive the ocean. Encounters with whale sharks often leave divers with a sense of awe rather than fear. Standing near such a massive yet gentle creature changes perspective. It reminds us that the natural world is not always violent or hostile. Sometimes it is calm, balanced, and unexpectedly gentle even in its largest forms. And perhaps that is why the whale shark continues to fascinate scientists and ocean explorers alike. Because in a world where survival is often associated with aggression, it stands as living proof that gentleness can exist even at the largest scale. A silent giant, moving without fear, and showing that true power does not always need to harm to exist. One of the most fascinating truths about the whale shark is not just its size or its gentle nature, but its incredible movement across the oceans. Because unlike many sea creatures that stay within limited regions, the whale shark is a true traveler of the deep. A migratory giant that journeys across entire oceans with patience and purpose that humans are still trying to fully understand. Imagine a creature so large, yet so free, that it can cross thousands of kilometers of open water, moving silently through vast ocean systems that connect different parts of the planet. Whale sharks are not tied to one fixed home. Instead, they follow patterns that are shaped by something far more fundamental than human borders: the availability of food, temperature of waters, and the ancient rhythms of the ocean itself. And this makes their journey even more mysterious. Scientists have discovered that whale sharks often appear in specific locations at certain times of the year, as if they are following invisible pathways through the sea. These movements are not random. They are carefully aligned with seasonal changes in plankton blooms, warm currents, and underwater ecosystems that humans are still mapping and trying to understand. In a way, whale sharks are living maps of the ocean's hidden structure. They travel through tropical and warm waters across regions like the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, and other vast marine environments, often covering distances that span entire countries. And yet, despite these enormous journeys, they do so with a calm, almost effortless motion. There is no rush, no panic, no visible struggle, just steady, continuous movement through the deep blue world. This raises an important question. How does such a massive creature navigate something as complex as the open ocean with such precision? Scientists believe whale sharks may use a combination of environmental cues, including water temperature, magnetic fields of the Earth, and food availability, patterns that shift with seasons. But even with all modern research, their exact navigation system is not fully understood. There are still gaps in knowledge, unexplained behaviors, missing connections, and journeys that do not always follow predictable routes. And that mystery adds to their wonder, because while humans rely on maps, satellites, and GPS systems to navigate the world, whale sharks seem to follow something far older and more natural: an internal connection with the ocean itself. Their migration is not just movement. It is survival in motion. It is life adapting continuously to a changing environment. When food becomes abundant in one region, they appear there. When conditions shift, they move again. This constant flow across oceans ensures their survival, but it also plays a role in maintaining the balance of marine ecosystems. As they travel, whale sharks interact with different parts of the ocean, connecting ecosystems that are far apart. In a sense, they are not just passengers of the sea, they are participants in its balance. And what makes this even more remarkable is how little we still know about their full migration patterns. Some whale sharks disappear for long periods, only to reappear thousands of kilometers away. Others follow routes that challenge scientific expectations entirely. Even with modern tracking technology, there are still large gaps in their journeys that remain unexplained. So every movement they make is not just travel, it is discovery. A silent journey across the planet's largest environment, guided by instincts older than human understanding, reminding us that even in a world we think we know, the ocean is still full of paths we have yet to uncover. One of the most fascinating discoveries about whale sharks is something that sounds simple at first, but becomes deeply extraordinary the more you think about it. Every single whale shark carries a unique pattern of spots and lines across its skin, and no two whale sharks in the entire ocean have the same design. Just like human fingerprints, these patterns are completely individual, and this detail changes the way scientists understand these gentle giants. At first glance, a whale shark might look like a slow-moving, uniform creature of the deep. A massive body drifting through the ocean, covered in white dots and stripes against a dark blue-gray surface. But when researchers began studying them closely, they realized something surprising. These markings are not random. They are structured, permanent, and unique to each individual shark, allowing scientists to identify them just like names identify people. In other words, the ocean gives every whale shark its own identity. This discovery became incredibly important for marine science. Because whale sharks are difficult to track in the vastness of the ocean, their unique skin patterns allow researchers to recognize individuals even when they travel across thousands of kilometers. By photographing and cataloging these patterns, scientists can follow their journeys, understand migration routes, and learn more about their behavior over long periods of time. It is almost like the ocean itself is leaving signatures on its largest traveler. And what makes this even more fascinating is how long these patterns last. Unlike temporary markings or changes in appearance, whale shark patterns remain consistent throughout their lives. This means a whale shark spotted in one part of the world can be identified years later in a completely different ocean simply by matching its pattern. This has revealed something powerful about their movement across the planet. Researchers have found that whale sharks do not stay in one fixed region. Instead, they travel across oceans, and their unique patterns help connect sightings from distant locations into a single life journey. A shark seen near one coastline may later appear thousands of kilometers away, yet still be recognized as the same individual because of its unchanging markings. This creates a kind of living global map of whale shark existence. And through this, scientists have built one of the most detailed citizen science networks in marine biology. Divers, researchers, and even tourists contribute photographs of whale sharks, helping track their movements and build a shared understanding of their lives. Each image becomes a piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that reveals how these giants move, survive, and interact with the ocean. But beyond science, there is something almost poetic about this idea. A creature so large and ancient, moving silently through endless water, yet carrying a pattern that makes it uniquely recognizable in the entire world. It reminds us that even in the vastness of the ocean, individuality still exists. Even among giants, every life is distinct, and perhaps that is what makes whale sharks even more special. Because in a world where the ocean feels infinite and creatures can easily disappear into its depths, the whale shark carries its identity across time and distance like a quiet signature written on water. A reminder that even in the largest spaces on Earth, no life is ever truly without identity. Even though the whale shark is the largest fish in the ocean, its survival is far from guaranteed. In fact, one of the most surprising truths about this gentle giant is that size alone does not protect it from danger. Despite its massive body and ancient presence in the seas, the whale shark faces increasing threats that come not from nature alone but from human activity. And this is where the story becomes deeply concerning. Because in the modern world, the ocean is no longer untouched. It is heavily influenced by fishing industries, shipping routes, pollution, and climate change. And the whale shark, moving slowly and peacefully through these vast waters, often becomes vulnerable to forces it cannot understand or avoid. One of the biggest dangers comes from overfishing. While whale sharks are not directly targeted for aggression in many regions, they are still caught accidentally in fishing nets meant for other species. In some cases, they become entangled in large fishing operations where escape is extremely difficult. A creature that survives by gentle movement and slow feeding is not built to withstand industrial-scale fishing equipment, and even when not directly caught, their food sources are affected. Whale sharks rely heavily on plankton and small marine organisms, but as ocean conditions change due to rising temperatures and pollution, the delicate balance that supports these tiny life forms is also disrupted. When plankton levels shift or decline in certain areas, whale sharks are forced to travel even farther, searching for the conditions they need to survive. This increases their risk even more. Another major threat comes from boat traffic. Because whale sharks often swim near the surface, they are vulnerable to collisions with large vessels. In busy shipping routes or tourist regions, accidental strikes can cause serious injury or even death. A creature that moves slowly and peacefully through the water has very little defense against fast-moving human machines. And then there is habitat disruption. As coastal development expands and marine ecosystems change, the natural environments that whale sharks depend on become less stable. Noise pollution from ships and underwater activity can also disturb their behavior, affecting their migration and feeding patterns in ways scientists are still studying. All of this paints a troubling picture. A giant of the ocean, slowly being pushed into a more dangerous world. What makes this even more important is that whale sharks are not just another species. They play a role in maintaining the balance of marine ecosystems. By feeding on plankton and moving across long distances, they contribute to the natural flow of ocean life. When such a species becomes threatened, the effects can ripple across the entire marine environment. And yet, despite these dangers, many people are still unaware of how vulnerable they truly are. Their size creates an illusion of invincibility. People assume that something so large must be safe, but nature does not always protect based on size. Sometimes the most gentle giants are also the most exposed. This is why conservation efforts have become so important. In some regions, whale sharks are protected by law, and marine sanctuaries have been created to help preserve their populations. Researchers continue to track their movements, raise awareness, and study how human activity is affecting their survival. But awareness alone is not enough, because the future of the whale shark depends on how humanity chooses to interact with the ocean. Whether it is through responsible tourism, reduced pollution, or better protection of marine ecosystems, every action matters more than people realize. And maybe that is the deeper message hidden in the story of the whale shark. That even the largest and most peaceful creatures on Earth are not beyond risk in a changing world. A silent giant of the ocean, reminding humanity that size does not guarantee safety and survival always depends on balance. When you step back and look at the whale shark as a whole, it becomes more than just a species in the ocean. It becomes a symbol, a reminder of how little humanity truly understands about the vast world beneath the waves. Because even today, after decades of marine research, satellites, diving expeditions, and underwater technology, the ocean still holds mysteries that remain beyond full human reach. And the whale shark stands right at the center of that mystery. It is the largest fish in the world, yet it lives in silence. It travels across entire oceans without being fully tracked. It carries a unique identity through its skin patterns, yet still disappears for long periods into unknown waters. It survives in ways that science understands only partially, and even its behavior continues to surprise researchers who dedicate their lives to studying it. This is why the whale shark is more than just an animal. It is a living reminder that the ocean is still largely unexplored. Think about it. The surface of the ocean may be visible to humans, but what lies beneath is an entirely different world. A world of deep currents, hidden ecosystems, underwater mountains, and life forms that humans have not even discovered yet. And moving through this immense unknown is the whale shark, a gentle giant that connects different parts of the ocean in ways we are still trying to understand. Every time a whale shark is spotted, it is like receiving a message from a hidden world. It reminds us that the planet is far more complex than what we see from land. While humans build cities, roads, and technology on the surface, beneath the water exists an entirely different system of life, operating on ancient patterns that existed long before human civilization. And in that system, the whale shark plays a quiet but important role. It moves between regions, interacts with ecosystems, and feeds in a way that helps maintain balance in marine environments. Even though it appears slow and peaceful, its presence is part of a much larger natural structure that keeps ocean life functioning in harmony. But what makes the whale shark truly powerful as a symbol is not just what it does, but what it represents. It represents mystery that still survives in the modern world. In an age where humans can explore space, map continents, and communicate instantly across the globe, there are still creatures like the whale shark that remind us how much remains unknown, right here on Earth, and maybe that is the most important lesson. That exploration is not finished. Discovery is not over. The world is not fully understood. The ocean still holds secrets. Creatures still behave in ways science cannot fully explain. Entire ecosystems still function beyond complete human observation. And the whale shark quietly moves through all of it, reminding us that life is far bigger than human perception. It also represents balance, a creature of massive size living peacefully in a system that is both beautiful and fragile. It shows that even the largest forms of life can exist without destruction. Even power does not always need aggression. Even giants can survive through gentleness. And perhaps that is why people feel such awe when they encounter it. Because in the presence of something so large, so ancient, and so peaceful, humans are forced to confront their own limitations, their limited knowledge, their incomplete understanding, their small place within a much larger natural system. The whale shark does not speak. It does not teach. It does not explain. But its existence says everything. That the ocean is still full of secrets, and humanity is still only beginning to understand the true scale of life on Earth, a silent giant of the deep, reminding the world that mystery is not something we have solved, but something we are still swimming inside. And maybe the real mystery was never just the whale shark, but how much of our own world is still waiting to be discovered.